Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 120. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Today, we are talking about the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Superstars, Super Mario Wonder, PlayStation Plus, My Adventures with Superman, Disney Plus Ahsoka, and more. But as usual, we are going to start with our recent activities. So the first thing I assigned both of us to play because we were both late to the party is the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. It came out earlier this year as an April Fool's thing on March 31st, and I did a 4-minute review on it. No spoilers whatsoever in that video, but we're gonna talk about spoilers here because why not? And just sort of give our thoughts on it. But yeah, I thought it was a very, very fun visual novel game. I'm a huge fan of the Sonic IDW comics, and I read that, or I've been trying to catch up reading it. So just playing that game was a lot of fun and just reminded me of that sort of essence. And it was just a lot of fun just seeing the Sonic characters interact with one another in a very fun, playful manner.
Yeah, I mean, I basically feel the same way. Like, the art is really nice. Like, I thought it really killed it with the art there. Mm-hmm. The writing was also pretty good. I felt like everyone kind of acted how they should. Like, no one felt like out of character or anything, which is nice because, I feel like with games, like, it could kind of be like that because, it's just like whatever. But I feel like when you're making a visual novel, like, that's the main thing, right? So, like, you don't want to mess that up. But, thankfully all the characters were, like, in character and stuff, and I just thought the overall game was really nice. I mean, you really can't complain because it's a free to play game, so like you can't really complain too much. But I think they did a great job with it. I guess another non-spoiler thing before we get to the spoilers was the little like Game Gear little mini game thing. Yes. What did you think about those? Like, I thought it was okay. I felt like them showing up every time you had to present a piece of evidence was a little annoying, but like I think it was still pretty fun. Like, I think the last parts were pretty fun. Like, they got kind of hard, so I like dying a bit. So, but yeah,
I was definitely having some trouble with them, and I thought I was just terrible. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? They're just trying to make some like familiar gameplay challenge for us, for like Sonic fans, but at the same time have something there that isn't too hard or too difficult, especially for a free-to-play sort of visual novel game. So I thought they were fine. Some Call Me Johnny, he did a video on it, which I was surprised because I was like, oh shit, that kind of like coincides with what...
Right when I finished playing it, I'm like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, so, his video, he was pretty much like, if they wanted to do like a sequel to this and like wanted to do like other gameplay styles and like add different mini games in there and maybe even like charge for it, I think that would be pretty dope. But I think for this game in particular, those sort of Game Gear mini game things were fine. They weren't, exactly harmful or anything like that. I think that they were the right amount of challenge to really get the player sort of invested into the, I guess, like the gameplay aspect, if you will.
Yeah. And I guess that goes into like the whole mystery thing. It was pretty good. I mean, I called it like immediately. Like, SPO has like the weakest ass fucking alibi ever. I'm like, what is it? Oh, I was just reading. I'm like, what do you mean you were just reading? But yeah, the game doesn't really like ask too much of you though. Like, so Call Me Johnny also said that. Like, I felt it too. Like, you really can't get anything wrong because Tails would just be like, hey, don't do that, idiot. Like, do this instead. So I'm like, it doesn't ask a lot from you, but it's still a good time. And I'm happy that the game, because I knew something was going to happen in the end that caused all the characters to like team up and do whatever. But I'm happy we still got to like have the murder mystery part where you have to figure out who did it and stuff. Yeah. And yeah, SBO was like mad sus the whole time. Like, I was just reading. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I just love watching Shadow in his barista outfit.
That was funny.
He's definitely a Starbucks employee in that fit. But yeah, I mean, the gameplay definitely does not really harm you for like making a mistake. Like you said, me and you both died a lot on those Game Gear mini games. But at the same time, when you're making choices, like when we were doing the planning for Rouge's like little heist thing, I was like, okay, we're gonna do this, and then it's like, no, we should do this, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll do this. And then when it was time to like pick who was sus, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying attention hard enough, but I just literally kept clicking around it until it landed on Espio, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm stupid. I don't know. But yeah, it's a fun game, 2 hours long. I know that it broke a really like big Steam record within it. When it first came out, it was like 1 million downloads. And I talked to my cousin's boyfriend, shout out to Fern. He played it, but he didn't play all of it. He only played 20 minutes of it. So, obviously, if you haven't played it yet, obviously check it out. It's definitely like a very fun, free-to-play experience. The sort of murder mystery stuff is a lot of fun. And I think that at the end there where Sonic was just like, hey, just like be cool and shit like that. I was like, that's Sonic. That's why I fucking love this guy.
Be yourself. believe in yourself. Yeah, honestly thought like, yeah, the story did get like, I'm like, oh, it is a pretty good story towards the end. Like just for like a little like shit post, basically. I'm like, this is quite good for what it is. And yeah, like if they want to like maybe make this into like a bigger thing or something, I'll be down for that. Like even if they want to charge like $10 for it, like I wouldn't mind, as long as like there's more fail states and like the things are a bit harder or whatever. But yeah, as it is, like it's pretty good. And again, it doesn't really hurt you to play it. It's only like 2 hours and it's free, so might as well play it if you're into visual novels and stuff. Yeah, I thought it was a good time. I think it's like the highest rated Sonic game now, which is funny. At least on Steam. Yes. So that's pretty funny. I don't know if Sonic Mania is the same amount, but still, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, pretty high up there.
All right, I guess I will go first for recent activity. I don't really have a lot. So new Guild Wars 2 expansion came out, Secrets of the Obscure, and it's pretty good. So the way they're doing things now is there used to be full expansions. They used to come out like every 3 years or something. Guild Wars is very like not consistent. It's probably like the least consistent MMO I've ever played, being like they just do whatever. So sometimes expansions don't come out, or sometimes they do. Now they're doing a new model where it's like these are called mini expansions, where they're going to come out every year now, but they're smaller in scope. Like they don't have as much features as a normal big expansion has. And people were kind of like not great on that idea, but if it means Guild Wars getting more content more consistently, since I think that's the biggest issue with the game is the lack of content and just like I said, just lack of consistency. It's kind of why I like kind of moved over to like Final Fantasy 14 more, since that game it has its own problems, or like the content might feel a little too repetitive or like too samey, but at least it comes out at a decent pace. Guild Wars like just doesn't have that, so if they could fix that problem, that's great. In terms of the quality of it, I thought it was pretty good. Like I thought the story was nice, moving away from like the whole story arc they did for the last 10 years, like they're moving on to something else. So that's pretty interesting to see. The new maps are a lot of fun, really big, really focus on flying around on your sky scale, which they made it easier to get, because that thing is a pain in the ass to get before this expansion. That's nice. The new meta events are fun, but again, it's not like, they didn't add like a lot of big stuff like other expansions did. Like, Heart of Thorns added gliding, Path of Fire added mounts, and then End of Dragons added like fishing and shit. This one doesn't really have a big expansion feature like that. It's just kind of more of what you like, which is fine. So yeah, it's good. Like it's pretty good. And if they keep doing more of these, I wouldn't really be opposed to it. Guild Wars is very kind of like a smaller MMO, I guess, at this point. Like it doesn't have as big as a fan base as like WoW or 14 does. So I think if they could just keep going on with this and have the quality be just as good as this, I'll be okay with that. Hopefully they can add some more big features at some point. Like I think it doesn't have to be every mini expansion, but maybe like every 2 they add something like really major to the game. I think that'll be nice. But I had a good time with it. Again, it wasn't that long. Like I feel like you could do everything like 2 weeks or something, which again is not the worst thing ever. They also added like a new daily system, which it just gives you better rewards now, which is really nice. I do enjoy that a lot. You just get a lot better stuff. You don't have to grind as much, so that's good. I guess it could help player retention as well. But yeah, it's a good time. Guild Wars has always been like kind of a, it's kind of the first MMO I really got into, because you didn't need a sub fee for it. And as like how old was I? I was like 14 when that game came out, and I was just like, that's great. So I only need to buy for it once, and that's great. But I think over time, it's kind of like lost a lot of its fan base and stuff. But hopefully it could get back some players. But I guess we'll see. Next, I also been catching up with Warframe. I haven't played Warframe in like 3 years, or something. I do love this game a lot. I just felt like in like 2020 or something is kind of when I stopped playing it consistently, because I felt like the updates were kind of getting further and further away from what I liked about the game, being just like the Warframe stuff. They added Railjack, which is where you pilot like a big ass ship and stuff, and you need a lot of crewmates, and it was kind of not great at launch. There's also like a lot of things that you were doing that you weren't in your Warframe, and I wasn't like a big fan of that, because I want to be the space ninja killing a bunch of shit. They were also like in a nerfing spree, nerfing all my guns, and I don't know, I just wasn't having like a great time with the game. It wasn't until I saw this TennoCon, which is like the big thing where they announced a bunch of shit, like that happened this week actually, I think, where I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to Warframe, and I've been playing it. It's been a good time. They fixed a lot of the issues I had with like Railjack and stuff. Like you could have you can hire like NPC crewmates to help you out, because Railjack is like it's supposed to be like a team-based thing, but like whatever, I didn't do that. So like now you can have like NPCs helping you out. They just like made a lot more things more fun. I don't know. I just came to appreciate that Warframe is more than just the Warframe part now. Like there's a bunch of other shit in that game, and I don't know. I honestly makes it a little more refreshing now that I'm playing it with like new eyes, I guess. And I've been having a good time with it. There's so much content I miss. Like there's a lot. So I've just been kind of going through it, and hopefully I could sort of catch up because they have a bunch of new shit coming out. So yeah, Warframe's a good time. I've been kind of addicted to it again for the past like 2 days. So that's good. But besides that, I haven't been playing too much else. I've been kind of busy. You know, these are great games to play on the side while you're like, you know, catching up with other stuff and yeah, a bunch of other shit going on. So it's nice to have like these more grindy games to do while I'm doing other shit. So yeah, that's, you know, I guess until Starfield, but which is like tomorrow. So yeah. Good.
All right. So I got a little bit of a variety of things I've been doing. So first up, I did watch Blue Beetle. No spoilers, obviously, just in case if you haven't seen it yet. But go see it. It is a very good sort of origin story movie because of the MCU sort of fascination with throwing all of these new characters into shows. We really haven't had a really good origin story movie. And even the ones with DC, you know, I guess like the only really solo superhero movie that they did recently that wasn't a sequel was The Flash, and that was like a huge like crossover thing. So Blue Beetle is really like back to sort of stage one with this character. We're really getting familiar with his family, with his characters, and it's a lot of fun. I think that people are sort of or I guess Twitter was kind of like overreacting and sort of like comparing it to like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 and sort of how those origins felt with this movie and sort of how that connection with his family and sort of how everything came together in that aspect. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I definitely want to see it again at some point. I don't know when that will be with my schedule, but Blue Beetle is definitely worth watching in theaters. I definitely highly recommend it, especially for Damian. You know, he is Latin American, so you know I think that you would definitely relate to this movie more than me as a Asian American. But yeah, you know, I definitely saw certain aspects of the movie sort of connecting with me personally on like a family level. So, and I think everyone can relate to that to a certain extent. So next thing I've been doing, I wanted to watch some more anime, and I was like, what should I watch? Guess what I'm going back to? The good old classic Rent a Girlfriend. Not Demon Slayer, not Blue Lock, not Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm going back to Rent a Girlfriend.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, you know, I've also been watching something else, but I'll talk about that hopefully if I finish it. It's a 12 episode finish thing that happened a while ago. But anyways, Rent a Girlfriend season 3. I was kind of mid on season 2, probably because I read the manga, so I knew what was going to happen throughout the season. So there wasn't like really any surprises with like the story or anything. So with season 3, I honestly have no idea what's going to happen. I know that, you know, certain things happen within the manga later on that really ruins the entire series that people fucking hate. But honestly, with season 3, I'm like, you know what? More shenanigans are happening, more bullshit's happening. You know what? I'm in because they introduce a brand new character. It's a second neighbor. And she is sort of getting entangled with Kazuya and Chizuru and sort of just like messing with them and shit like that. So yeah, you know, it is definitely a lot of fun. You know, I definitely cannot wait for the new episode that comes out, I believe on Fridays or Saturdays. I don't know. I checked the AniList because like throughout like this entire week, Damian, I've been like waiting for like another episode, and I was like, is it out yet? Is it out yet?
That's crazy. My man, hungry for Rent a Girlfriend.
But yeah, you know, season 3, kind of fun. Gotta be honest.
I mean, it's a fun show. Like I know it's like not great, but like whatever.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely like a show that you go into that you're like, this is gonna be like some bullshit, but it's gonna be a lot of fun when you're watching it. I'll be honest. So
yeah.
But getting into some video games, Fortnite has a brand new season. I just want to talk about the past season first off, because they made the map a lot more catered towards no build. And honestly, I don't know. It could have been the items, could have been the mythics or whatever that were offered. I felt like that season was just like not there for me. I was really grinding out like the last week to like get fucking Optimus Prime, and also with the Jujutsu Kaisen quest so I could get Itadori because I paid for that. So. You know, and for this season, you know, it's obviously new. So, you know, there's a lot of different things to do. It's very much heist theme. So I definitely like that aspect of it. But at the same time, there are certain missions that you have to do with like the guards and whatnot. And it's so fucking hard when like everyone's just like dropping in on like the same location. I'm just like, man, I just want to do these missions, but like everyone's here and it's kind of annoying. But, you know, definitely, you know, same old Fortnite. What do you think of Fortnite, David? Because I think you have a similar opinion.
Yeah, like last season was like okay. I like the jungle. Like I thought it was pretty fun, but I don't know. Something about it, I like didn't really click with me either that season. I think it was mostly the mobility. Like I think the lack of mobility kind of killed it. Like I know I'm like kind of newer. Well, I mean I played the game when it first came out, but like I am newer to actually playing Fortnite, I guess. So I came in chapter 4 when mobility was everywhere. Both season 1 and 2. With the hammer and then the sword. So I was kind of just used to that. I feel like season 3 didn't have any of that and just felt a lot slower and not as fun to me. This new season add like the rocket ram thing. That thing is really fun to use. And I think the sword is back too. I don't know. I think the sword's back, but I don't know. But either way, I think that the addition of mobility again actually does make me kind of excited. I've played like 3 games. I haven't played too much of it. I saw the new areas. And yeah, I saw what you mean. Like you have to like sneak behind a guard for like 6 seconds. I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to do that when I'm shooting it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm only like level 7 and stuff. I'll probably play more this season than I did last season. There was another point I wanted to make, and I forgot. I won a game. I won like in my second game, so that was cool. So that was nice. I don't know, it's because I haven't played in a while and just give me bots because some of them felt kind of dumb, but still felt good. I got my umbrella. But no, it's a good time. I know people are really liking this season though, so maybe I'll. I still think the battle pass is kind of mid. Like the last guy is kind of cool, but Ahsoka's in it, but she's the secret skin, so you don't really need to do too much for her. So but yeah, so it's still a good time. I'll probably try actually complete a battle pass this time because I did last time.
You don't want a thick fish stick or whatever?
I mean, kind of. I would try to actually complete this one, yeah.
Yeah. But the next game I've been playing is TFT. I don't really talk about TFT a lot because, if you're not really into League, it's kind of hard to like learn TFT. I mean, my girlfriend now understands this TFT set like completely because we play it a ton. But I recently just hit Plat because that was something that I've been trying to go for a while now. But I hit it last night because I got into like a random streak of just like hitting like 9 Demacia, 9 Noxus. And that's really hard because you have to hit level 9 and also have to get like extra emblems for them too. So, I was just getting lucky. I'll be honest. The 5 cost units are still like really dumb and really broken. Like if you just like throw them in, even if like they don't have like traits like attached to them, it feels like kind of oppressive. And like if you get like a 3-star of those, like forget it. You kind of just like auto win the game. It doesn't fucking matter. But yeah, I mean, I'm really liking this TFT set. I think that they're gonna introduce some more things like new traits and whatnot as well. So I think that that'll make it even more fresh and whatnot. So yeah, just having a lot of fun with TFT. Then another game that I started playing because shout out to Kofi, he bought 3 other copies. Yeah, we started playing PlateUp because
I have 50 hours in that game.
Yeah, no, we saw that. We were like, yo, Damian, what the fuck are you doing? But first up, just from my experience as like a noob that really loves Overcooked and has never, I guess, like played like a roguelike like this where it was like multiplayer and shit like that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you gotta like assign people who are gonna like take the orders or like who's gonna do the cooking because like you guys can't all do it at once because if you guys fuck up once, the entire run's over. For some reason, the entire restaurant just closes down after 3 days if you like mess up once. So it does get stressful. We were definitely yelling at each other at certain points just because if you mess up once, it's kind of over. But obviously that is like the point of roguelikes. That's sort of like something that Kofi like told Emma because she did not understand. She's like, Travis. I was like, what? We're fucking cooking. We are in the kitchen doing our best. It's just like, we don't have like certain upgrades or like we might have bought something that was like not useful to us at all or whatever. So, it's definitely just like, trial and error kind of thing. So,
yeah. So, the reason I have 50 hours in it, my good friend Sarah, she really likes this game like a lot. Well, she's kind of over it now because now Baldur's Gate is a thing, so we're playing that. But holy shit, like I played so much of that because I'm like, I guess she wants to play it. Let's play it, I guess. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was a good game, but not like 50 hours with a good game. But it's still good. I was mostly like the waiter, so like wait everyone, do dishes and stuff, and she would be the one that cooks. So I have no idea how the cooking process goes. Like I kind of I just wait and like, deal all the tables and wash dishes and shit. That was my role. So that's what I always did. But yeah, it's still a good game. I think an idea of like a roguelite Overcooked is really cool. And I think being able to unlock different stuff and recipes and stuff like that's a cool idea. And the game, really popped off on Steam. Like it did really well when it came out. So, and the game constantly gets updates as well. So, yeah, it's still a great idea for a game. Really good. And yeah, it feels pretty featured. I wouldn't say feature complete, but it does have a lot of content for like, I think it's early access still. So yeah, it's a good time. I would definitely recommend it if you liked Overcook and maybe you want more like replayability, since Overcook is probably like the same thing over and over, like they're just levels. Yeah, this one gives you that randomness. So yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we did finish one run, which we did not expect. I think we did the dumplings or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was literally like so late already. And then we like started it. And then we got like towards the end and I was like, God fucking damn it. Let's finish this. Please, God. If we don't win here, I'm like gonna go to bed tired and upset. Like I can't do this.
Did you guys finish like round 15 or whatever? Did you finish a run or?
Yeah, we did finish a run to make us like a franchise or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we were trying like pizza. Obviously, like you start off with steak and shit like that. So
yeah,
we're gonna have to jump back into it probably within the next couple of days to just have another game for us to play as 4. So
yeah, it's a good time. Again, I don't know how to cook, so I don't know how to wait.
All right, so now we are going to get into the news. First, we got some entertainment stuff. This is a rumor that we are first going to be reporting. So apparently, Avengers Secret War could reboot the entire MCU. So
yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a very interesting thing that they would even consider. Obviously, like this happens all the goddamn time within comic books, and like comic book nerds, sort of like understand when like a new run of a character happens, like sort of everything or almost everything resets and like a new set of characters are introduced or sort of rebooted in a way. So that's just how comic book characters operate. Because like if it was like comic book characters age as we went, Peter Parker would be fucking dead at this point, So for them to sort of have this idea of like rebooting the MCU and sort of have potentially new actors take on new characters. I mean, personally, I'm kind of skeptical about it because I feel like audiences are very much attached to, Chris Evans as Captain America, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. And I feel like you can't really recast those people without sort of losing that spark and sort of that magic that you had the first time around where there was like little to no expectation. And then you take them on this like 10-year journey and it ends up being something beautiful and something amazing and awesome that fans are sort of reminiscing to this day.
Yeah, like I don't know. I always feel weird about this because like there's a part of me now that kind of thought like wishes the MCU should have ended with like with Endgame, right? And the show had like this epilogue arc, like what they kind of did with Phase 4, where it's like a lot of stories are wrapping up and stuff. Like I don't want to be in a universe where Guardians 3 didn't exist, so like that's why I'm saying that. But I think like after a certain point, like maybe they should have like let the series rest for a while. And then like rebooted it with new characters and stuff, or maybe do it like, they're in a different like multiverse or whatever, or something like that. I feel like it would have been more fresh. People would have been more excited to watch MCU stuff instead of like this like never ending thing of like shows and movies and stuff that people don't really care too much about and stuff. So I feel like a reboot might actually be kind of good, but again, I don't really know like how they would do it. I don't know if it's gonna be like a soft reboot, like a super hard one where it's like there's all new characters and stuff, because they already are setting up like Young Avengers shit already, so like they're already are moving towards that direction anyway, and I think that's good. But if they want like straight up just like erase everything, then I don't know. It's weird. I feel like the MCU is in a really weird spot because not a lot of people have gotten up to this point ever in like cinema history, I guess. Like where it's like they already did like probably the only good example of like a cinematic universe, I think. And now it's like, okay, how do we like continue / end it? And then they don't really know what to do now. So we just, and we kind of see them kind of like flailing about like because they don't know what to do. So I don't know. I honestly do think a reboot might be nice, but again, I'm not too sure. I just want like the movies to be good, right? So and I just want a clear vision. Like I just want like a clear like what are we doing here?
Yeah, sort of just like, what is the plan? What are we actually doing? Because I feel like, they might have said that Endgame was like this 10-year plan, but I feel like for the most part, they were kind of just like...
It's kind of like a 5-year plan.
Yeah, they were kind of just like trying to make really good movies and just sort of like have them connect with each other in subtle ways. Like, for example, at the end of Incredible Hulk, you see Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man sort of, talk to the General Ross. So, that's sort of like the first sort of stepping stones of what they were doing for the MCU, sort of connecting everything. But that wasn't necessarily like the plan. Like they didn't have everything layered out that, Thanos was going to be at the end of Endgame and everything like that. It sort of all just happened organically and sort of that's how it went about. But now that you have all that, you kind of need a plan. You need to figure out what you're going to do for the MCU. And if they think a reboot is like the best course of action, then so be it. But I feel like you're going to lose a lot of audiences, a lot of people, more than already, because obviously people are not watching the Disney Plus shows as they were with the movies and stuff like that. Like that is like very obvious. So I think that if they do a reboot, it has to be done tastefully and it has to be done correctly. It can't just be done willy-nilly as they've been doing with Phase 4 and even going into Phase 5.
Yeah, I do feel like if they do like a hard reboot, like people would be very upset because it'd be like, oh, all the time I invested was like for fucking nothing then, and all that. So I feel like reboots are never like, they're done really rarely like great or anything. So and it's usually done after like a kind of a long break. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like the best thing the MCU could do is just take a fucking break, but they can't because they gotta make money, right? So it's hard to say. And I feel like that's what Disney really doesn't understand is that, you know, they want all these things to keep making bank and to keep like producing shows and stuff. When I feel like a lot of the quality like kind of diminishes after a certain point, where it's just like you just gotta wait. Or fatigue, you know, fatigue is such a big deal. You know, like with Star Wars and Marvel, like it's just like, okay, people just don't want to see this anymore. So you know, too much of a good thing, or even if too much of anything, really, it's just like yeah, it just doesn't do good for anyone. So all right, so Disney Plus is going to be releasing physical media 4K Blu-rays of WandaVision, Loki, and The Mandalorian season 1 and 2. You know, I think they all look pretty good. You know, if I was going to get any of them, probably would be Mandalorian. You know, I think season 1 and 2 are pretty good. You know, say what you want about the first bit of season 3. But hey, I think it did salvage itself by the end. And yeah, they look pretty nice. I know there was some controversy. I know we were talking about this before the podcast.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I think they released something for WandaVision and it didn't have the media in it. It was just like stuff.
At some point, I think they're still gonna release it, but I don't know. Anyways, there was a news story about them releasing WandaVision, a steelbook, but without the disc inside, and people were like, "What is the point of this? For it to be on my shelf and not have the disc inside?" So I guess this is in response to that. Obviously, like, there's going to be people out there that want to buy these. I'm not going to buy them right now because they're like $50 a piece for the 4K versions, which is what I want. But I think at some point I will definitely try to get Loki and probably the Mandalorian ones. WandaVision will be last just because it is my least favorite out of these four. Not to say that it's bad or anything, but yeah, you know, it is definitely cool that they are making these, and on top of that they have bonus features, you know, like deleted scenes and sort of gag reels and stuff like that. So, you know, it's gonna be fun seeing those pop up on YouTube because they're gonna pop up on YouTube.
Yep. Yeah, it looks good though.
Yeah, definitely looks like a very cool, you know, sort of steelbook collection sort of thing that people can have, because I know that there's a lot of people that do collect steelbooks. Me personally, I'm sort of indifferent to them. You know, they're cool, but I'm not, you know, gonna hunt them down or anything like that, because, you know, some of them do go for a lot of money. And the reason for that is because, you know, low print runs, because of making the steelbooks are kind of expensive. So
yep.
All right, so next bit of news we got here is a pretty big one. We got Charles Martinet has stepped down from the role as Mario. So he's been voicing Mario since Super Mario 64, guys. So, you know, that's been a few decades at this point. But he is going to move into a brand new role as a Mario ambassador, and sort of, you know, he's going to step back from the voice acting stuff and sort of just let other people take over. We still don't know who is voicing the cast within Super Mario Wonder, because that is not him. And on top of that, he was not voicing Mario within the Mario movie. So I guess, you know, the paint was on the walls or some shit like that. You know, but, you know, people are upset. Some people were very like pissed off at this, and I was just like, the man's old.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't know. People are acting like he's dead, and people are like mad. Like, people are mad. I'm like, bro, he's like 67 or something. Like, he's old, you know. Like, you know, they're gonna have to retire at some point. And honestly, like, I think the new Mario Wonder voice is like pretty good. I know some people could tell immediately that wasn't him. For me, I was just like, it's Mario. So like, he goes the wahoo, he did the wowie zowie. You know, I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I think whoever's voicing the new Mario is good. You know, I need to hear more once I like play Mario Wonder. But you know, I think, you know, obviously Charles Martinet, like, he did fantastic work. Like, you know, his Mario's always gonna be iconic forever, and it's probably what, you know, it's like a Mickey Mouse voice, right? Like, everyone imitates the first Mickey Mouse voice because that's just how iconic it is. It's gonna be the same thing with Mario. You know, like, you have to do the wahoos and shit. You know, that's just what he does. Also, actually, his first game wasn't Mario 64. It was like fucking Mario Teaches Typing. Actually, so but, I just had to put that knowledge somewhere because I would never bring it up again. But yeah, it's still a sad thing. You know, obviously he's just a great voice actor in general. Like, you know, as a Ratchet and Clank fan, he did voice Orvis in Crack in Time. So I always forget he did do that. So that's cool, which was like the Big Daddy Zoni in that game. He also voiced one of the dragons in Skyrim. I also forget he did that. So, you know, he has done other things besides Mario, but, you know, he has a really long history. It's sad to see him go, but, you know, it's nice to see him take a back seat, you know, maybe like mentor whoever the next Mario is, and, you know, just like fucking retire because he's 67. You know, at some point you just gotta stop. Even if you love your work, you know, you gotta like, you know, you're old and you gotta like enjoy the time you got, you know. So
yeah, you know, sort of take a step back, sort of stop on his own terms, because, you know, I think that is like a big thing for some people to be like, you know, I want, you know, they can know what their last project was and know when they were gonna stop playing the character, instead of like, you know, sadly they passed away, or, you know, something else happens, you know, they get fired, God knows what. But, you know, they are very much, you know, stepping into a new role. You know, they aren't leaving Mario. Obviously, Charles knows how much this character means to people and how much it means to him. And, you know, not just Mario, he also did Luigi, Wario, Waluigi, you know, all four of those characters. So, you know, it's nice to see him, you know, sort of, you know, step back from this role and sort of take on something new, because, you know, I'm sure people are scared of change, and that's sort of what the outrage was mainly about. You know, people are like, oh my God, who's gonna voice new Mario? It's like, did you really notice? And if you did, okay, well, that's you. I didn't fucking notice. I'm sorry. I'm not like a Super Mario fanatic where I can notice like the little things within I guess Charles's Mario's voice that I noticed it immediately. But, you know, I think more or less it's gonna be the same kind of thing for me personally.
I do wonder if the new Mario voice is going to voice like Luigi, Wario, and Waluigi as well, since it was also done by one, you know, Charles Martinet voiced all four of them. So I wonder if, you know, this new voice actor will also voice like all the not Mario people, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I am curious about that. If they're going to get separate voice actors for all of them.
Yeah.
You know, just from like the Wonder trailer, which we'll talk about later, like the direct, I didn't really hear a lot of Mario's voice, so it's hard to say. I didn't even get to hear Luigi's voice. I didn't hear his voice at all. Daisy is still the same. Hi, I'm Daisy. So she's still the same. But yeah, I do wonder how they're going to end up doing that. But yeah, either way, you know, it's sad that he's leaving, but, you know, he's got new stuff to do. He's going to enjoy, hopefully, his retirement. And he'll probably still show up in panels and shit. So you'll probably still see him around. But yeah, I think it's just a good time for, you know, new blood to come in, see what they could do with the character, and there you go. Yeah. It's not like he talks a lot anyway. So
yeah,
like, it'll be fine.
He probably said like at most 30 words within his entire career.
I think the longest sentence Mario has ever said is like "Welcome New Galaxy" and like the end of Mario Galaxy, and I think that's it. I could be wrong, but I don't fucking remember.
So, yeah. You know, thank you, Charles. It's been nice having you voice Mario, but you know what? The future is ahead of us.
Yep. It's gonna be sad, but we gotta move on. All right, so now we got a bunch of Gamescom stuff. So to show, well, not a bunch. We have some stuff. Actually, it wasn't like that exciting. But either way, Alan Wake 2 got a new trailer, and this is really cool. So you know. Remedy, they always do some really cool stuff with live action shit. Like I know Quantum Break was like a weird ass game where it was like live action shit and then like the game and stuff, and it was always pretty cool. And I think my brother's like the only one that actually likes that game because everyone else thought it was like okay. But either way, it was like a really cool way to like do stuff like that. And Alan Wake 2 seems to be doing that mixed media thing as well, where some of the cutscenes are like live action. And it looks really cool. And you know, that's just a really cool way to like sort of like presenting the game. Mostly because when like the graphics look so good, when it like kind of like changes back and forth, you don't really notice it as obviously you could notice it, but it's like it's still like pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
And you know, I still think the game looks really good. You know, I still haven't played Alan Wake, like I really should. It's been on my bucket list for years, but it looks great. It looks like it's shifting more into that survival horror. Like it looks like Resident Evil now, which is cool. So yeah, the game looks great. Hopefully it does well. It got delayed like a week to get away from like Mario and Spider-Man and shit. So hopefully that's enough to make it sell a bit better. Yeah. I still think they should have delayed it till November because I think the only thing coming out in November is like Call of Duty and shit. So which is still a big game, but like I think the crossover is not like a lot. But yeah, I guess we'll see. But either way, it looks great. So
yeah, you know, Alan Wake 2 is definitely like one of one of the most anticipated games of the year, along with all the other games coming out this October. And I think that this is something that I'm actually looking forward to now. I do have it downloaded, or I bought it on my PlayStation account because it was like on sale for like $10 or something like that. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll buy it. Hopefully I'll play it before it actually comes out, which, maybe we should set a date for when we should, do that. But Alan Wake 2, this trailer in and of itself, I'm not very much familiar with Remedy, but obviously they have Epic Games publishing it. So they have a lot more budget. They have a lot more things that they can do, a lot more creativity, especially with this sort of final iteration of Alan Wake. Because I read somewhere like a headline that like there were other versions of Alan Wake 2 that the guy wanted to do. But, this is the one that we ended up with. And it looks good. I cannot wait to see exactly what this game is going to offer and how it's going to be. I hope it delivers because, it is doing the whole, I always go back to this because I'm a huge, like physical media guy, but, the whole digital only release is like a big thing. I think that is something that people are kind of overlooking for this game. Rightfully so, because obviously like the game itself is like doing a lot of things that looks like it's going to hopefully do well. But yeah, this digital only thing is kind of freaking me out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, yeah, it is always not going to be great. Like people that want physical should be able to get physical disc. I feel like just cutting costs like that is always like kind of scummy. And like, obviously it's a way to cut costs, but at what cost, Like people want their physical media. You should be able to buy it, like that should be your right as a consumer. Yeah. But that's a whole, we've talked about that so many times.
I hope it works out for them, honestly. I hope that, they are actually successful within releasing it only on digital platforms, because I know that they're gonna miss that foot traffic within retail stores, but then again, they're gonna, not have to pay or sort of lose money on that retail sale, and they're able to, cut the game down by $10. So, that's good for the consumer, but also bad because there's no physical disc and they're not going to actually quote unquote own the game, if you will. But it is Epic Games publishing it. So I'm sure that there was some sort of deal that they were able to work out there. So.
Yep.
All right. So next thing we got here from Gamescom is Sonic Superstars multiplayer trailer. So the trailer itself was pretty cool. We got to see more of obviously Sonic and the gang doing some co-op stuff. We got to see more of the levels, some pretty cool, I guess, like, CGI sort of cutscenes or whatever made for this trailer in particular. But obviously, the big things is that it is coming October 17th. That fucking week is crammed. God damn it.
Yeah,
Literally 3 days from Spider-Man and Mario Wonder. But there's going to be a battle mode and also local co-op. There is no online co-op as far as we could tell. And there's going to be a digital deluxe edition if you are interested. That will be $70. So, yeah, the game's going all out. It is being priced at $60, which we knew from the start. But, they are also offering a digital deluxe edition, which comes with, some other free goodies if you are interested. But yeah, October 17th is kind of a fucked release date. I will be completely honest. But then again, maybe they were like, you know what, we'll coincide with Mario. You know what, we'll be kind of cool with it. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm going to have to like play Sonic Superstars, beat it within those 3 days, and then I have to play Spider-Man, which is going to be like a rough sort of time window. But we'll see if I'll live. We'll see. But
I'm just going to take my time because this shit's going to be a while.
Yeah. Obviously, they're pricing it at a full $60, so I hope that it is long enough and I'm not sort of, going to speed run through this game and it's going to be completely nothing. But I'm still very, very much excited for Sonic Superstars because it does look very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, again, I guess it always comes down to like the whole price point with platformers and stuff. Like, I feel like if it's well polished and stuff, and it at least gives me like 20-ish hours if I 100% it worth of content, I'll be okay with that. It's probably gonna be like 10-ish hours if you're just going through it, which I also think is fine. I think platformers don't really do well with really big run times because you run out of gimmicks and stuff to do and stuff. But I still think it would always be worth it just for them to look pretty and like get a bunch of polish. Like, I loved Rift Apart, and there's a lot of people that think it wasn't worth $70. I think it was just because I think it looks really pretty and the amount of polish and fun it was, even if it was only like 10-15 hours. I don't know. I thought that was fine. So if this game goes to prove that, then that's fine. Obviously, Sonic has a really shaky track record with like anything, so like it's gonna be kind of hard to see how much it would be justified. But from what I'm seeing, it looks pretty good. Maybe a bit safe, but that's fine. Like, I think having a good 2D Sonic game that might be a bit more chunky than like something like Mania, that I think that's fine. I think it's still a bummer that there's no online co-op. I think that's really dumb. But maybe it just wouldn't work with how fast the game goes or something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's their justification of it. But I still feel like they probably should have just offered it anyway and just be like, hey, play with your friends, we'll get internet connections and you will be fine. But I guess they don't give us that choice. There's the battle mode, which I don't think a lot of people are going to play, but it's there. I feel like when they add these modes, it's just to kind of like buff up the price point to be like, hey, like it's worth it. Don't worry. Even though no one's really going to fucking play it. But yeah, I still think Sonic Superstars looks like a good time. It has a really heavy competition, especially Mario Wonder is going to be really good. It's going to be, it's going to be there. So I'll buy all of them though, because I'm a sucker. But it's good. All right, so more Sonic news. This was like also in Gamescom. The Sonic Frontiers final update trailer. I don't know why Jeff Keighley became like the Sonic man, but he keeps giving us big Sonic news. But basically, this is teasing for the new, the final Horizon update, which is like the last of these sort of free updates the game is getting. So yeah, keep in mind this is free. So I guess this is supposed to be like sort of like the last sort of story chapter for Frontiers. We see Sonic turning to Super Saiyan 2, basically, like his eyes turn blue. Not a lot of other changes besides that in his transformation, but yeah, it's supposed to provide a new story, new playable characters, and new challenges as well. So just from the game itself, we could probably assume that means playing as Amy, Knuckles, and Tails, which is cool because I don't think we were able to play as another Sonic character besides Sonic since like
06.
06, right? That's fucking crazy. So it's been a very long time since we've been able to play as like any of his friends. So, well, I guess like the 2D games, but in terms of 3D, it was only Sonic, Classic Sonic, and the Avatar from Forces, which basically just played like Sonic with a gun. So yeah.
Yeah, it has definitely been a very, very long time since Sonic fans have been able to play as his friends in a 3D game. And I think that this is going to be a very fun and cool final update. I wonder what the story's going to be because it looks like some stuff happened that wasn't resolved at the end. But on top of that, Sonic looks like he has a new form or something like that. His eyes obviously turned blue for a reason. It wasn't just because, it looked cool or whatever. But yeah, Sonic Twitter was losing their shit over this new...
His eyes are blue.
Yeah, his eyes are blue. He's like Super Saiyan 2 or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, it definitely looks like it's going to be obviously like the biggest update by far. I think that every single update before this one, the other two were sort of just like, okay, they weren't necessarily big, but they weren't necessarily small either. They did add some things to the game that, incentivize players to come back and whatnot. But this update, everyone's coming back. I will be there. I will be there
as well, yeah.
Whenever this update drops.
I think September.
Yeah, September 28th. So we're going to have some Sonic stuff to enjoy before the month of October with Sonic Superstars. So yeah, I'm sure that we will find out sooner rather than later about what this new story has to offer. And on top of that, is Sonic turning into Super Saiyan 2 or whatever the hell is going on. But last bit of Sonic news we got here is Sonic Superstars team. This was like a pretty big thing. So Games Radar did like a little thing talking to the developers, more specifically Iizuka, about Sonic Superstars. It's sort of he had a comment about like they wanted to make sure that the game would look good in like 10 to 20 years, which is why they went against the pixel art style, which obviously a lot of people had problems with on Twitter and sort of just like on social media in general, because they're like, oh, but like these games in pixel art look great and whatever. I'm going to try to play devil's advocate here because obviously like I love pixel art. I love sort of what Sonic Mania did, sort of made the games look like they were on the Sega Genesis, but at the same time enhanced them. And I think that is what a lot of people wanted for Sonic Superstars and sort of just like 2D pixel art in general, just sort of have games look like that. Also with other games from Square Enix, I forget the goddamn RPG. Damian, help me out here.
Octopath?
Yes, Octopath. People, I saw someone used a screenshot from that game to sort of make a comparison of like, oh, like pixel art can look great and like, okay, yeah. But, I guess like Iizuka is just looking at it from like, I guess like a general perspective where like people look at pixel art and be like, oh, like that game looks old. And like when people think of old, they don't think of like good or like new or whatever. So, it's just like a general audience thing. I don't think he didn't want this game to be sort of pixel art or whatever. I think that was definitely like talked about, but I think that they went with 3D because they haven't had a Sonic game in 2D but was also 3D and also good, kind of thing.
Right.
We've had Sonic the Hedgehog for episode 1, and obviously that was not the greatest, but we haven't had a traditional 2D Sonic game in a 3D environment yet, so why not have them try it out? So that's just me playing devil's advocate here. I'm not saying that he's correct necessarily within his thinking process. I just think that is where he's coming from with that opinion.
Yeah, so like I actually think the same way as you do, kind of. Like, all right, his statement is saying Pixar won't be viable in 10 years. I don't know what that means necessarily, because I think Pixar is probably one of the least it's the most timeless, appropriate, timeless art style, right? Like Pixar will always look good. I think Super NES games still look amazing, and there's a reason why so many indie games still use it. Like the art style just holds up super well. So I think that from that perspective, from an artistic perspective, I think that's a dumb way to say that, because I don't think that's true at all. But I do think in terms of general audience perspective, when people see Pixar art, they might think it's, like I said, old, or they might think it's like a cheaper game, right? They might think oh, why is this game $60 if it's Pixar? That means it should be cheaper, right? Because people don't know, right? People think better graphics like that would mean oh, it has to be more money or be cheaper if it's Pixar and stuff, which also doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I definitely get what he means at that point when it's it won't be a viable art style in terms of AAA companies, I guess, at that point, because people want to see the biggest, best graphics from these games and stuff if it's made by a big studio. And if they see Pixar art, they're gonna be we don't really care. It should be cheaper. It should be $20 at that point. So I kind of get it out of that perspective. But in terms of artistic standing and stuff, I think Pixar is some of the best you could do because of how good it looks. But I guess in terms of big AAA companies, maybe it's not the best art thing to go for, because you want people to buy your game at the maximum price, and if you make a Pixar art, it might be a bit harder for people to swallow. I think Octopath might have been the exception of that rule, where people actually did kind of go crazy for it. But and I think that game looks fucking fantastic too. But it's weird. It's two minds of it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, everyone on the internet and sort of in general are going to have their own different opinions of how they feel about pixel art. Some people may be able to play a game because it's in pixel art, and some people may be I don't want to play that because I don't like how it looks. It's just personal preference, personal opinion. And I think that pretty much almost everyone within the Sonic community agrees that, they really do like the pixel style, and maybe we could get a maybe higher sort of pixel rate, instead of 32-bit, maybe 64, but at the same time that would be 3D at that point. But at some point I'm sure we're going to get more 2D pixel art classic Sonic games. It's just that with this one they wanted to experiment with the 3D, because I think that was a big thing that Iizuka and the team went into this for Sonic Superstars. So obviously his comments may seem a little far-fetched or whatever, but that's just how he thinks, and that's just the comment that he gave to this journalist in particular.
Yep. It's hopefully people don't attack him too much, right? That's why it's I'm sure whenever these headlines come out and it seems really damning, they don't mean it in a really bad way or anything either. It's just that's just kind of how it happens. So hopefully nothing I mean, this is already kind of a week old at this point, so I don't really know what happened with the discourse afterward, but just don't attack people.
It's actually only 2 days ago, but
oh, was it? Oh my, time is fucked for me now. God, it just felt like a week ago. All right, anyway, what just happened this morning was the Super Mario Brothers Wonder Direct. They went over a bunch of details, some stuff we already know, or some new stuff. So there's 7 worlds, which is I imagine there's gonna be 8. Maybe even 9 if there's a secret world or a special world like the other games do, so that wouldn't surprise me either. Obviously we saw the talking flowers, they give you hints. Apparently that's what they do, so because I know that was kind of weird in the trailers. And really cool is there's a shit ton of characters. So there's obviously Mario, you got Luigi, Peach, Daisy, 2 Toads, and Toadette. Yep. So that's cool. They all play the same, they said. So I don't know if Peach and Daisy could do the floaty thing. I don't know if Luigi has his extra jump height. I don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they very much specified that they're all going to play the same, except for the last 2 characters, which are Yoshi and Abbott. Yoshi has the flutter jump and he could eat stuff, and Nabbit just doesn't take damage along with Yoshi. So like if you're playing with someone that's having a much harder time just like eating like projectiles and stuff like that, they can still die to fall damage. So that's a thing that they should look out for. But yeah, I think that they are just trying to make the game as accessible as possible to the family. And if you have like a really young kid who really isn't that great at platformers yet, giving them Yoshi or Nabbit is a safe way to go. And then as they move along and hopefully they'll get better, they could try out the other characters.
Yeah, and we can see they have 3 new power-ups. There's obviously the elephant power-up that just makes you really big in an elephant. You can use your trunk for different things. You could like do a bunch of heavy object pushing and shit, so that's cool. The drill doesn't look that exciting. The drill is just kind of like you could hit people above you and you could drill on the ground. It seems very specific for certain collectibles and stuff. But the bubble power does look really cool. This looks really overpowered because it like heat seeks onto enemies and they kill them. They turn into coins. You can also make them into like makeshift platforms and shit, and that looks really cool. So yeah, I think the bubble power up might actually be my favorite out of the 3 they shown. Like the elephant one is cursed and funny, but I think the bubble one is kind of boring, but it's also like it seems like really fun to use. So that's cool. This is probably my most excited feature of this game is the I forgot to talk about the Wonder Seed. Yeah, well, the Wonder Seed is also really cool because that's the thing that makes the level go fucking crazy. And you could like there's a bunch of different stage gimmicks that can happen, like the pipes like going everywhere and like the stage tilts and stuff. That looks really cool, and I think that's gonna make some really cool level design and kind of really separate itself from the new Super Mario Brothers series, which is kind of the main concern a lot of people have with this game. Is like I hope it's like weird enough, and it looks like it is. It looks like there's a lot of crazy things going on. But not this is what I'm really excited about. The badge system. This looks really cool. So you could, before you enter a level, you could equip a badge, and these could either be like an extra wall jump, like a grapple hook, like a super jump, the hat parachute we saw in the trailer. You could like swim faster. Like this shit's really cool. And it adds like I like it because it makes the game, I guess, easier, but it makes it easier in like a cool way, right? It's not like, oh, here's like the superpower Luigi power up that just beats the game for you, or like here's like oh, you take no damage. Like this one's actually really cool because it adds more movement options to the to your moveset, and I think that's really cool. Like this badge system looks really neat, and I'm happy that you could like play levels to unlock it. You gotta do like certain challenges to unlock them and stuff. You can't use all of them at once. Like you have to pick and choose which ones you actually want to use, which is cool as well. So it's not like too OP, I guess. Yeah. And yeah, it just seems really cool. Like this is a really cool system, I think.
Yeah, I think that more games in general are just adding like perks and like sort of things like that you could just like equip to your character, and you could just like do a certain thing now. And I'm glad that Mario is sort of like adapting to it, and I think that the game as a whole is like so different for like just 2D Mario in general. Even though Mario has been around for so many years, there's been so many things within gaming that he hasn't done yet. For example, like perks with the badges, just having all of these extra things that he can do, like the hat parachute, like that is like a pretty cool thing. The super high jump, and there's a lot of things that you can do before the stage and after, or like in between these stages. Well, you could like equip them. So like if you're like sort of see like something that you can possibly get, if you had the wall climb jump, you die on purpose, so that just equip that one. That's very much like a cool thing that you can do within this game, and I think that just that, along with all of the other power-ups and things that they have within this game, is going to be very exciting, especially for Mario fans, obviously.
Yeah, and I really have to reiterate like how good the art style of this game is. It looks really good. Like I think like the new character models look a lot more expressive than the blank ass new Super Mario Brothers look. The music is great. Like it's still doing like the boss, but it's way more acapella now, which is nice. Like I really do enjoy the music a lot. It's just very bright and vibrant, and I feel like the new Super Mario Bros. Art style was just very sterile and like corporate looking. So I'm happy he's going for a more crazy, wacky look. I still like the new Super Mario Brothers games a lot, but I do agree. Like after like the 5th one, I was kind of over it. So I'm happy they are going for a new art direction and just new gameplay in general. And then we have all the multiplayer stuff that went over. You could ride Yoshi players, and Yoshi players could also ride other Yoshi players. So that's kind of weird. To actually play the game co-op is local only. Again, like, I don't know why they're so obsessed with this, but yes, you can only play actual co-op locally. Like you can't do it online, but there's a bunch of other online features. You could sort of play with like live player shadows. So you see them kind of all running around the world map and on the stage and stuff. And there's a lot of different systems in here where if you touch the player while playing with all these player shadows, you could like revive yourself if you die. You could place these like standees that basically acts as like makeshift checkpoints that other players could put for other people. You could play online with friends, but the only thing you could do is just race against each other, which still sounds like fun, but you can't really like mess with them or anything. Like you kind of just race through the level and stuff. It would have been more fun if you could just like, you know, beat the shit out of each other. Because in New Super Mario Brothers, you could do it. You could pick someone up and throw them into a cliff, and that was awesome. I remember when we used to do that. It was like such a great, you know, that was a great time. So
yeah, I hated everyone for it.
Bubble me. Yeah, that was a good time. So I'm kind of sad this game doesn't have that, but I guess that's better than nothing.
Yeah, you know, the 4-player multiplayer chaos that was within New Super Mario Bros. Wii continues here. I'm glad that they are sticking with it. You know, that is something that the New Super Mario Bros. Games sort of introduced, and I'm glad that, you know, obviously certain things are being kept here, and obviously they're introducing a whole new kingdom with the Flower Kingdom, and because of that, everything just looks different. You know, there's new enemies, there's new obstacles, new areas, you know, and I think that is another reason why I think that Super Mario Bros. Wonder is going to be like a really great, you know, just like 2D Mario game. And I think that we're just going to have a lot of fun with it. You know, it's been a while since I think people have been really, really excited for a 2D Mario game. I think that they pumped out New Super Mario Brothers U because they were like, we are launching the Wii U, guys. What do we got? It's like, all right, we got nothing. All right, shit. I guess we'll just make a new, you know, New Super Mario Brothers game and then just call it a day kind of thing. But it definitely feels like that this one, they really took a lot of time thinking it out and sort of giving players, you know, new options, new characters, new worlds, new areas, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. And obviously the last thing here is, you know, they are Nintendo, so they're like, here's a new Nintendo OLED Switch, it's Mario, and it's just all red pretty much.
Hey, the back part's kind of cool. We have Mario and then like the coins in the back. That's kind of cool. But also the Switch 2 is so rumored to come out at this point. Like, it's not actually from credible sources. Why would you buy this? So yeah,
you know, they're just trying to squeeze a little extra dollar out of you if you want to play this game when you haven't bought a Switch yet. But yeah, you know, I'm very much excited for Super Mario Brothers Wonder. It is crazy how much they showed off within 15 minutes. I feel like Nintendo Directs are always sort of like concise to the point, especially when it's on a single game. You know, the fact that we got literally all of this information about the story, the gameplay, the online multiplayer stuff within 15 minutes, awesome.
I agree.
All right, so last thing we got here was a pretty big story that pretty much everyone was fucking fuming about. The PlayStation Plus yearly price went up. So if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber and you buy the yearly, because that is pretty much the best bang for your buck at all times, you are going to be paying more yearly. And I know that there's certain people out there that have stacked it to like 2028, 2035 or some shit like that, which like, yeah, you know, good for you. But obviously when that runs out, you're going to have to be paying for these new prices. So first up, PlayStation Essentials, which is pretty much just like the basic thing. It went from $60 to $80, $20 increase. PlayStation Extra, which is you get a bunch of like Game Pass like games. You get a bunch of PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 games for free. It went from $100 to $135, $35 increase, obviously. And then PlayStation Premium, which is you get the PlayStation 3 cloud stuff, game trials, and some other things. It went from $120 a year already to $160, so a $40 increase. So yeah, I mean, you know, and they said that this price adjustment will enable us to continue bringing high quality games and value added benefits to your PlayStation Plus subscription service, which everyone thought was fucking bullshit, which I also thought was bullshit because I covered this story for Fandom Wire and I kind of just looked at the games that they were offering with this announcement, and literally every single game was like within the 60s to like lower than that within like Metacritic. It was like insane. Like Saints Row 2022 was like pretty much like mid all across the board. A lot of like really negative user reviews. They also offered some other games, Black Desert, which like whoever's playing Black Desert already probably has that stuff already, and if you aren't playing Black Desert, good luck, have fun, maybe you'll get into it with that. And then also Generation Zero, which came out like years ago and it has like a 45 Metascore. So yeah, I mean, if they want to bring a higher quality games, they should have started it here. They should have like offered something like really big and really substantial to like new players, something that came out within this year that was like a big AAA PlayStation game, which like I can't really name on the top of my head of games that like really came out this year that are like super duper big. I mean, I think The Last of Us Part 1, the remake that they did, is still not on PlayStation Plus, which is like insane to me. So like really like what are they doing other than just like getting more money from the players? I am a PlayStation Essentials guy. I only have the 1 year because I thought I was going to be playing Call of Duty a lot more, but I ended up not. So I kind of just gave them $60 for no fucking reason. But then again, I really don't see myself subscribing to any of these premium memberships for a year, me personally, unless it's for like a month or 3 months to play some of those like PlayStation 3 cloud games. I know Puppeteer's on there. That's a really sought after PlayStation 3 game, and that shit's expensive. So if I really wanted to play it, I would stream it through the cloud or whatever. But Damian, as a PlayStation Plus subscriber yourself, what do you think of these price changes?
Yeah, definitely not. No, I definitely think it's not worth it. I only had premium because I always bought it on the really big sales they had, so it's like not too much. So I'm like, okay, sure, like I could play Ratchet and Clank anytime I want, even though it's streaming and shit. But whatever. I thought that was kind of cool. Now I definitely will not do that. I definitely will just get the essentials and stuff because the extra perks are cool and stuff. But I feel like there's not enough to really justify it, especially when so many PS3 and PS2 games are like streaming and shit. I'm like, why? I heard there's rumors too that they're going to bring a better PS2 emulator and they're going to bring more PS2 games. But until I actually see like solid stuff coming into like the premium lineup, I really don't think it's worth it. There's just not enough old school games on there to be worth it at all. I want them to make like a PS3 emulator that actually makes it so I could play these games on a higher resolution and like I could download them and shit. Then it would be super worth it. Then I'll be like, yeah, go ahead, go subscribe for like a month or something, play whatever PS3 games you want to play, and then like just dip or whatever. But you can't even do that because it doesn't have any of that. So yeah, I definitely think this price increase is really dumb. It's just gonna hurt them in general, and like just paying like $80 for online is insane to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's always been 60 for like ever, and like a $20 increase is huge, So I think all the anger towards Sony for this decision is definitely justified because I don't think the service is worth that much in general. Like it barely was worth it in general,
to begin
like before
with,
this price increase. Yeah. But now it's definitely not worth it. So yeah, hopefully they could go back on this or just make it more worth it. Like they could add more features to premium and extra, make it more worthwhile. Like you said, maybe bring in like more of the first party games. Game Pass is already like offering like their first, like Starfield is going to come out the same day on Game Pass as it does for everyone else who just buys it regularly. Like PlayStation should be aiming for that as well. Like if you buy premium, maybe you could get like, you could play like Spider-Man day one, like for nothing besides your subscription price. But they're not doing that, so it feels very not worth it. Like at this point, Game Pass is just being the shit out of this. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's definitely not worth it.
Yeah, and the only time they really do like day one games is like indie games, which is like absurd because you guys are PlayStation. You guys know what attracts people to your console, and that's exclusives. And it's crazy to me that they haven't even yet considered like offering it like a month later, sort of like offering Spider-Man 2. Obviously, everyone's going to fucking buy Spider-Man 2. Everyone's going to buy the game either way. But if you offer it on PlayStation Plus, like even like a month later or even day one, like obviously like that's like a huge risk for them. And they're like, oh, it's going to like damage sales or whatever, but at the same time it's like you're gonna get people hooked onto PlayStation. You're gonna get people hooked onto buying merchandise, buying the fancy PlayStation 5 controller and other things like that. Like you're gonna get people's money in other ways if you believe in your product, kind of thing. Because I feel like, Microsoft, even though they have been taking a lot of L's recently, they very much like believe in what they create and what they do, even if it doesn't always hit the nail on the head. Like right now, like Starfield seems to be doing pretty well review wise. So I think that will get people to, maybe even purchase an Xbox to play Starfield and even, subscribe to Game Pass and try out all of the other Microsoft games. Like PlayStation, they've been very complacent because they have been, in my opinion, winning like this console war between Microsoft and Sony, just because of their sheer power of exclusives. And I think that this move is just absurd. Like it's crazy to me that there's some people out there that actually did pay $120 a year for PlayStation Premium when like I watch Pete Dorr look at like the library of games that they have on there, and it's like, it's fucking nothing. Like honestly, like it is not a lot, especially if you play like games when they come out. Like, him, for example, like he didn't play like the Spider-Man games or like Ghost of Tsushima. So like obviously like that sort of package is like attractive to him because, he's able to play these games without having to go out and buy it physically, and, he could just download it right then and there. But like, if you're someone that plays these games regularly, especially when these games do come onto PlayStation Plus, it's like years later, it's like not even worth it, So if PlayStation are able to like pick up their slack and actually make PlayStation Plus better and more attractive to people to actually pay this extra $20 to $40 price increase, and it's like, okay, fine. But as of right now, especially with the games that they announced for September for PlayStation Plus, it's like, this shit's a joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Like, again, when they made premium, they should have like went off the bat and like put in like a bunch of great classic games, and for PS Extra they should have added like a way more like of the newer games, and as new games came out they should have put them on the service as well. Like, it seems really easy, especially compared to Game Pass, where it's just a better value than anything they could do right now. But they're not, so they're just making it like more expensive for no reason. Again, if this shit had like all the Ratchet Clank games downloadable, like, then I'll be like, yeah, maybe it's worth it. But like, it's not. Like, they have like no. If you want to play Siphon Filter, like, go ahead, I guess. But like, yeah, it's not really worth it for anyone right now. And the only time I actually recommend buying PS Plus is if it's on sale during like the summer months. That's usually when it goes on sale for a big discount. Besides that, just don't. I don't think it's worth it.
It is just crazy to me that PlayStation players now have to pay $80 a year just to play online. Just to play online.
Yeah, that's insane. That's like I can understand the other models because it's like those are like really optional. But being the essential being $80 is insane to me. That's crazy.
That's pretty much the price of a new game, and like it is still cheaper than you buying it monthly or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, man, like $79.99. That is like absurd. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens with this PlayStation Plus thing, because we've been following the service throughout these episodes. We followed them when they introduced Extra and Premium to their all new PlayStation Plus program, and it's been a year since that's been out, and honestly, it has not been doing much other than add new games slowly and whatnot. They got Sly Cooper on there, but that's not enough for me to actually subscribe to it. No, personally. They got
that Bentley's hack pack.
But moving on from there, we're going to get into the next part of the show. We are going to talk about My Adventures with Superman episodes 8 and 9, the Superman cartoon that is still releasing weekly. I believe there's one more episode left, or two. I forget exactly.
I think there's one more. Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, this is still a fantastic show. I still cannot believe how much they're doing with this. And for the newest episodes of episode 8 and 9, we have a 2-parter, 0 Day. But yeah, it's pretty much just like the villains of the show coming together to beat the shit out of Superman. But you also have Vicky Vale coming in and sort of trying to expose Superman for the villain that he is. And you got the side characters working towards that. And yeah, honestly, like, this 2-parter was a lot of fun. It really did bring everything about sort of like what Lois saw within those visions, and sort of what this Superman may potentially become is like insane. So obviously we don't know what's going to happen to that exactly, but it is still building up to that, which I still love. And then the climax within episode 9 actually made me cry a little bit, because it was just like beautiful of just like seeing like the entire series like come together and like help Superman, because he felt like so hopeless and so lost, and I was just like, man, that was beautiful. Crying
so damn loud.
That was just beautiful. But yeah,
no, I agree. I mean, it was really good. It's been a while since I watched like a Western cartoon 2-parter. That's when shit gets real, and it's it happens with everything. But it was just a really good set of episodes. I think they do a good job showing Superman really, I guess, he's new to this. He's not like this battle hardened guy. I was telling my brother, I'm so used to Superman being like really stoic and stuff, and I don't know if that's necessarily true, because I don't really watch a lot of Superman media, but just seeing him portrayed as he's like a stoic guy and stuff. This show makes him like a big ass cinnamon roll and shit. He's a really sweet dude. So just seeing him get the shit beat out of him and getting interrogated and being like, you caused all this, I didn't do that. I feel bad. So I think they did a great job with Superman's character. I think they did a good job with everyone's character. I think Lois, I know people had issues with how she handled her, seeing
reaction.
that Clark Kent was Superman and stuff, and I get it, but I think the rest of the show has been really like her character has been really good. She knows what she wants, and she gets the scoops, and she gets she gets Superman. I think they're really good together. And I think the main villains are also really good. I think Task Force X, they're fun to like be around, and Parasite becoming a giant ass kaiju, that was fun to look at. I think the animation in general is just really good, and the show just has a lot of heart, which I think is really nice as well. It's also cool to see them connect more stuff, like Vicky Vale, some like the Gotham stuff, and that's cool to see. Like I don't know if they're gonna add more Gotham like villains and shit. Like I don't think they're gonna like here's Batman or whatever. But I do think they probably are gonna like do some more stuff. I don't know if like the fucking Penguin is going to show up or whatever, but it's good to see them opening that door, like Gotham is like right there and stuff. So that's Vicky Vale. Oof, oof.
Stop.
Say hello, but
stop.
Yeah, no. But no, it was really good. It was really good special. A lot of good heart to it, and obviously it ends with the cliffhanger with Jimmy finding the sort of like the orb thing that shows like Superman's evil and stuff. And what I'm guessing, what they saw in the past was probably like Zod or whatever. Like if I have to guess, like evil like Superman. Again, not too familiar with the lore. I know Zod and like Lex, but that's about it. So that's why I'm guessing what that is going to be about. But very interesting. I think the show does a great job just laying the seeds for so many different things, and having like a good conclusion of the now, like what the current arc is. And I think it's just really good, man. It's really good.
Yeah, just like you said, a lot of heart, a lot of character, sort of just like having Lois and Jimmy wanting to actually help Clark in his sort of goal of just trying to help people. And I think that this two-parter really does show that he's like, I'm just trying to help guys, and, he obviously like messed up at a certain point because he, ran into that bus trying to, save that guy. But obviously no one saw the guy. So it just looked like that he just ran into the bus. And, he's just trying to help, and everyone's just misunderstanding just because he has these powers, and sort of like that conversation of it being like, is he actually here to help, and what if he doesn't want to help anymore? And Lois kind of like chokes up within that moment and be like, well, I'm not entirely sure. I saw some shit, there's some weird stuff going on this like green glowing ball. So yeah, I'm sure that will play into a factor within the finale, and maybe Clark will find out that they know that, he could potentially become a bad guy, and that may ruin their relationship. But, I'm sure that there's reasons why they're hiding it from him, because, they know Clark and they don't want that reality to be true. And I think that they might be scared to, just tell him.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like how much they, I guess, kind of push his like alien background, being like, like he just wants to be like normal, or like he didn't really ask for any of this, but he's doing his best to help. I think that's pretty cool. It shows like I guess like racial stuff, but not allegories and all that good stuff. So I think that's cool to see as well. And I like that the general guy was like, oh, like, yeah, he couldn't do this. Like, one, he's too nice of a guy, and two, like he would have been like a fucking baby by the time like that stuff happened. So I'm happy like he was showing some sense. But Amanda Waller is kind of like a piece of shit, and she's like, nah, fuck you. So this is my Suicide Squad now, but they're not called that. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely a lot of good stuff here. I definitely like that they are slowly introducing new powers. Like, for example, within this two-parter, he gets his super hearing, and also
super hearing,
that X-ray stuff. So, he's able to literally hear everything, which is like crazy. So I was just
Leave
like,
me alone.
God. That's got to be overwhelming for him. But, it definitely plays into the story as to why he was like just so tired and just trying to help everyone and everything like that. So,
yeah, very, very solid show. If you haven't watched it yet, definitely give it a watch. Even if you're not a fan of Superman like I was, it will convert you. Like I'm a fan of all these characters and stuff, and it's probably one of the best animated superhero stuff I saw since like Spectacular or something. So
yeah,
in terms of TV anyway. So really good.
Yeah. Last but not least, we got Ahsoka, the newest Disney Plus show that they got going on. Every single Tuesday night, they got new episodes, which is kind of a weird scheduling, but I kind of like it. It definitely makes room for people that work 9 to 5s, and then those people at home like me that watch it when it comes out. Can't spoil it, but I don't spoil it anyways. I feel like people that do spoil it, even if they do the spoiler warning, whatever bullshit, it never works. But yeah, definitely weird scheduling. But now we have Ahsoka episodes 1 and 2 premiered at once, and then we have episode 3 that came out this past week. So Damian, I want to hear your thoughts first, because obviously you don't know shit about Ahsoka and sort of her character. So I want to hear your perspective on the show.
Okay, so like the only thing I know about Ahsoka was that she's Anakin's like Padawan and stuff, and she's like, fuck the Jedi because they suck, and now she's like kind of doing her own thing. I'm gonna do my own thing instead. So that's about the most I know about Ahsoka, and she kind of just chills out doing stuff. She's got white lightsabers, and that's cool. But that's basically all I know. That's all I really know about the series. And honestly, the show isn't that hard to follow. I expected myself to be more confused than I am. Obviously, I don't understand a lot of character relationships or anything because I didn't watch Rebels, because a lot of these characters are from Rebels from what I've seen. The only thing I did see after I watched like the first 2 episodes, I watched like this dude's sacrifice. I'm like, okay, now I understand some stuff. So that was the only thing I've seen after I watched like 2 episodes of this. But basically, I think all the characters are introduced pretty well. Like you have like Sabine or whatever her name is. Like she's like, she was Ahsoka's like Padawan, but I guess they had like a falling out. She was also a Mandalorian. So okay, that's pretty interesting. She had the brother, which is the guy who sacrificed himself to I guess. It's kind of weird because they have like space whales. It was weird. Like he banished Thrawn to like the outer galaxy or whatever the fuck, and he's like with him, I guess. Like we don't really know yet. We don't know if he's like okay or whatever, and that's it. And Thrawn is like evil, bad Imperial guy, and that's sort of like the main villain of like this show and I guess Rebels. And then you have like the side characters like the Twi'lek lady, that's like the general, and the like asteroid droid guy and some other people. So it's not that hard to figure out. I'm like, okay, I understand what we're doing here. We gotta stop, get Thrawn, like he might be coming back, gotta stop him. There's some other Sith. I think these are not characters from Rebels. I think these are like new people. I think. I don't really know. Okay. Yeah, the 2 like Sith people. Plus I like some Dathomir which I know about their lore because of the Fallen Order. Yep. So I know they're more important in Clone Wars and Rebels, I think. Like they have more stuff in that. But I do know about them. So it actually isn't too complicated. You still need some Star Wars knowledge like to like understand stuff. So if you're going into this completely blind, not knowing any of this, it might be a bit harder for you to understand. But if you didn't watch Rebels or Clone Wars, I think you're kind of fine. Like I wasn't actually that lost that I thought it was going to be. Again, I just like obviously like this Sabine misses her brother and stuff. Like I guess that's her brother. So I'm like, okay, that I understand. And that's like the other character motivations I know, but that's fine. I don't really know where Ahsoka like really fits into it, 'cause I know she's like her master of this Mandalorian lady, but besides that, I don't really know what else she did in Rebels. But because it seems like the guy was like the main character in that show, so I don't really know.
Yeah.
But he's gone now, so I guess we'll figure that out later. All right, but that's all the background stuff. In terms of the actual show itself, I think it's good. I think it's just like pretty standard Star Wars nonsense. The beginning was just kind of setting everything up. You see Sabine like, oh, she's like kind of she doesn't like authority and stuff, or she's kind of like mad about stuff, and then these Sith Lords are coming in to take them down and stuff. Ahsoka's finding this map to find Thrawn because he's doing shit, so she finds it, and that's basically the whole mission. It's like finding this guy in like this outer galaxy or whatever. Don't worry, my fucking webcam. Don't worry about that. But anyway, so yeah, I think that stuff is pretty easy to understand. It's pretty box standard right now. Like, I'm enjoying it, but it's not like crazy, right? Like, I'm not like I'm enjoying it, but it's not like I guess like Mandalorian season 1, right? Where it's like, oh, this is really cool and shit. This one's just like, yeah, this is good. That's kind of where I'm at this point.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that premiering the first 2 episodes was a solid idea. Not because episode 1 was bad, but because these 2 episodes really complement each other. Just opening with Baylan and Shin, just like invading that sort of Jedi place or whatever. These 2 new characters, just making that these 2 are not fucking around. Like they are here for business. They are the bad guys. And obviously we are slowly learning more about them as we move along. But they are great sort of antagonist characters that are sort of hunting down Ahsoka and crew. Shin has become a fan favorite amongst the community just because she is badass, and some people call her mommy, including my girlfriend.
Wait, which one? The witch lady or the mom or the apprentice?
The apprentice girl.
Yeah. Okay.
But that was like a great opening to the show because I was just like, "Where's Ahsoka?" And I was like, "That's not Ahsoka." I'm like, "These guys are not Jedi," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun." So Yeah, I don't know much about Rebels. I got fucking toasted in the TikTok comment section for saying that Rebels was bad because apparently there's a lot of people that really do like Rebels and sort of what it did for those characters. And Ezra, Sabine, and sort of like that crew of characters, they were more of like friends, but very much like a family. And people were wondering if they were going to ship Ezra and Sabine, but people are glad.
I retract my statement saying they were brother and sister. I didn't mean that. I thought they were. Whoops, never mind.
People are glad that they are not shipping them together, if you will, because that was sort of like a thing that people didn't 100% know about. But anyways,
okay, whoops.
But yeah, I mean, I'm very much following along with the show myself. I obviously know a lot more about Ahsoka than the Rebel characters, but I think that them being in the show definitely does complement the story because she was supposed to be Sabine's master and sort of train her, but she was, I guess, not good enough and not really understanding exactly what was happening because she's also a Mandalorian. So there's also that aspect of it as well. But yeah, I'm just really liking all of these characters. I think episode 3 was kind of weak, but it was kind of just like it
was short too.
Yeah, it was short. It was just them about trying to get from point A to point B, and then there was some action stuff here and there. So not a whole lot to really complain about, but the more I was watching this show, I'm like, okay, I could see why they're doing it in live action, but at the same time, I'm like, it still would have been cool if it was in, I guess, like animation or whatever. But it is what it is. We're here where we are. My theory is that they're gonna bring in Hayden Christensen to do some fucking Darth Vader shit, which I'm sure is probably gonna happen at some point within the show. And maybe at the finale we see Ezra come back, which is the one that sacrificed himself for Thrawn. And we'll see how all that plays out. But yeah, I'm liking the show so far. It honestly exceeded my expectations because I was not expecting it to be as good and as entertaining as it is. I was definitely expecting Sabine to die when she got fucking stabbed. I was like, oh shit, she's fucking dead. I'm like, okay, so like shit's about to get real. And then my girlfriend was like, she's not dead. Just go watch the next episode. And then we were watching it and I was like, she's alive? Like, are you serious right now? But it is.
That shit probably hit like at least one internal organ. But yeah, I mean, I actually am liking it a lot more than I thought I would. Not that I think I wouldn't like it. It's just I thought I would be a lot more confused than I did. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I don't know how much stuff actually happens in Rebels besides like I'm sure they just do a lot of shenanigans with them trying to fight the Empire and like succeeding and like getting rid of Thrawn and stuff. So I guess that's all that really happened. So I feel like I'm not missing too much besides like their character and stuff, like their character developments. But I feel like just jumping in is pretty fine. Just having some baseline knowledge is about all you really need. And yeah, it looks like just gonna be a fun time. Like it's actually kind of cool to go into like a different galaxy. I don't know how many times that actually happens in Star Wars. Like mostly just like in that one galaxy, which I don't even know the name of. I'm a fake fan, but yeah, it's cool that they're going to like a different one and stuff. So yeah, we'll see how things revolve from there. I actually am. Yeah, I'm actually am shocked that I'm like, okay, I get it. It's not as complicated as I thought it was gonna be, which is nice. Like I thought it was gonna be like kind of a mess to watch, but no, it really wasn't. So that's good.
Yeah, those one sentence sort of like explanations are honestly not that bad. When Ahsoka was like, I stepped away from Anakin, I never finished my training and everything like that. So I was like, oh, okay. They're trying to explain one of the biggest and probably my favorite arc within the Clone Wars, which was when Ahsoka was sort of like accused of doing a crime, and people actually thought that she was gonna die before that entire arc aired, and then it was just like she left the order. So definitely very interesting to see this character sort of become the way she is now, because a lot of people really hated her when she was first introduced as like fucking Anakin doesn't need a Padawan or whatever, but now she's become a fan favorite. She has her own show, which is doing so far so good. Some people are still skeptical about the whole live action aspect of it, me included, but it is still entertaining Star Wars action. I very much do like the fight sequences just with Ahsoka, because it shows that she is a master at this point. She knows what the fuck she's doing, and they're very much fun to watch. I know people on Twitter were complaining about like the like lightsaber whooshes, like that's not there, so it looks very like static and like not as cool to watch, which I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right, but at the same time I'm kind of enjoying myself still, so I don't know.
I will say that like fucking guts looking Sith guy looks sick as hell.
Yeah.
The guy with like the armor on, I don't know what his deal is, but he looks cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just a good series. I actually think it is cool that they are showing a lot of the I guess aftermath, because this is after the Empire fell, right, and stuff. So it's cool to see like,
so, yeah.
Yeah, like that same senator lady that was in, I forget which episode, but she was also in Andor, is she right? She was the one that was she was the one talking to the Twi'lek lady, like in
Maybe.
that one thing.
I don't fucking know. I wasn't paying attention that much. I wasn't paying attention that much.
I was like, wait, that's the same. I know she shows up a lot in like some like during this arc of like the Empire falling and like, you know, rebuilding the Republic and shit. So I'm like, oh, that's cool that she shows up there. Like I remember her from Andor, so that's pretty cool. I think that, you know, they seem to really be focusing on this time period of like Empire falling and being rebuilt, or, you know, Empire falling and Republic coming in. So that's pretty interesting. It's also cool to see them like deal with like, oh, there's like corruption because not all the Empire is dealt with, and you know, like the Republic's not all good either. Like we saw that in Mandalorian as well. Like you know, there's still like scumbags and stuff, like even in the good side, quote unquote. So I think that's pretty interesting to deal with. But obviously this one seems to be more of a standard Star Wars adventure of just like kill evil Imperial guy and some Sith lords, and you know what? That's good with me. I'm okay with that too. So yeah.
Yeah, you know, just expanding on the Star Wars stuff. I hope it is able to deliver within its 8 episodes. But, you know, Dave Filoni, he's very much entangled within the Star Wars, Clone Wars stuff and Ahsoka. So he's writing pretty much every single episode. So I hope that they are able to deliver on this sort of like post-Rebels sort of series. And yeah, you know, so far so good.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it as well. So.
All right, so I think that's about it. I don't know any particular details I want to talk about with Ahsoka, but is there anything else you'd like to add, good sir?
Nope, that's everything.
All right, so thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian Podcast, episode 120. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
Later.